Hi everybody, I think that many of you have tried this kind of Kinder Bueno bar. Let's open it up. We're gonna make the exact same one, just in a big size. But first you need to try it. On the outside we have chocolate, then a waffle layer with nut paste, and then the cream itself, which is also pretty nutty. The first thing we need is a big, huge mold. Our dad's gonna make it for us from this huge pipe. Using a tape measure, we measure out a meter of 20 and mark it with a marker. From the side, we drill a hole with a screwdriver and then cut the pipe with a jigsaw. Now we're going to draw along and cut the pipe into exactly 2 parts. Now we will make a stand out of wood. To do this, we cut a large board into 2 parts, circle the outer diameter of the pipe, and cut it with the jigsaw. With sandpaper, we knock down all of the burrs. 2 such details are needed. We need a wide board to put between them, and tighten everything with screws. Two large semicircles were also carved out of wood, and 3 smaller ones, but at the same time they were twice as wide. We put half of the pipe on the stand, lubricate a large semicircle with glue, and put it into the pipe. Additionally, we fix them with screws. We put the missing parts in, and our form is ready. But in order to be used, we take some small half circles and wrap them with some cling film. Done. Then we lubricate our mold with some oil. We're going to smear it along the walls. And then glue down some parchment paper. Then we put everything back in its place. Let's start our cooking with the nuts. There are 20 kilograms of them here. We transfer them into a meat grinder. And grind them through a small nozzle. Now we'll need a mélange, sugar, and cocoa. We collect 1 kilogram of crushed nuts, then turn on the mélange and pour them in. By the way, at first while the mass is dry, it can stop. Therefore, we'll help it out. Then add in some sugar and cocoa powder. After about 40 minutes, we'll get a chocolate nut paste. Let's tilt our mélange and put all of the paste into a pan. Thus, we turn 10 kilograms of nuts into the paste. Done. Now let's make our dough for the waffles. We break 48 eggs into a big gastro pan. Add 3 kilograms of sugar. For taste, we'll use some vanilla sugar. And then we go to the butter. Cut off 1.5 kilograms and put it into a saucepan. Also add 1 kilogram of margarine. Let's put all this onto the stove. Melt and pour into our big catering pan. Let's whisk our mix until it's smooth. Now we just need to pour in 3 kilograms of flour. And then finally knead the dough. Done. We scoop it up with a spoon and put it into our waffle iron. We close them. And after 3 minutes, they're ready. You can get them out. And then we open up our nut paste and spread a thick layer onto the waffle. Then we glue it inside of the mold. We worked with like a conveyor belt, really, and while one was making waffles, 4 waffle irons at once, the second was putting them into a mold until it was completely filled. Now let's go to the cream. We open up some bottled chicken eggs and pour them into a bowl. There are 20 eggs in each bottle, and so we have 10 of them in total. Pour in 3 kilograms of flour and mix it all with a mixer until smooth. And then we made this thicker, and we will cook the cream in such a huge saucepan. We take a lot of milk out of the refrigerator. Open them up and pour them into a large saucepan. Then we put this under the burner, cover with the lid, and turn on the gas. As soon as the milk is heated, we add in 12 kilograms of sugar to it. And mix it all with a construction mixer. Without stopping stirring, pour in the thickener into a thin stream. You also need to melt 3 kilograms of butter. Pour this into the cream. And here are the remaining crushed nuts. Mix them into our cream. You gotta do this until it's smooth. It's already thickened up, so we pour it into our mold. We spread out the waffles with the remaining nut paste and put it on top of the cream. That's it, we send our mold into the freezer. Two days later, everything's hardened up. Therefore, we move on to the next step. We're gonna open up some milk chocolate and send it into a Marmite. Turn it on so that it starts to heat up, and stirring constantly, melt that chocolate. Now it's liquid, but to make it even better on the bar, you need to add some oil. And mix. It's much more liquidy now. Now it's time to get the mold out of the freezer. We transfer the liquid chocolate onto the waffles and smear it around. We keep doing this until we cover the entire surface with chocolate. Now let's put some more chocolate in the Marmite. We put a sheet of chipboard on top of the bar and press it as hard as possible with stretch film. First, we lower the form to the floor. And then we already turn it over into this little thing covered with film. Now the stretch film can be removed. Carefully lift up the mold. And tear off the parchment. And open up the film around that wooden semicircle. We screw a self-tapping screw into it and take it out. And then we remove the film itself. The extra milk chocolate pellets have already been melted. Therefore, we scoop milk chocolate with a measuring cup and just pour it all over our bar. We do one more layer. And then just let the chocolate harden. Now we just need to repeat only these thin strips of dark chocolate. Therefore, put a bowl on a steam bath, put some dark chocolate into it. And constantly stirring, melt it. Our already liquid chocolate is poured into a pastry bag. And we pour this over the bar. That's it, our giant Kinder Bueno is finally ready. I think it turned out just perfect, you guys. Well, let's cut off a piece. Hey everybody! Today we decided to cook a giant Skittle. Let's open the packet and see what it's made of. Inside there are a bunch of small candies. If we crush them, it becomes clear that there is a candy coating around a soft, chewy inside. Now let's buy everything we need to cook a giant Skittles. First up, you'll need a lot of sugar, a box of oil. We go to the produce section. Then we take out quite a lot of lemons. We choose the largest and ripest watermelons and put them in the cart. We'll need a total of 7 watermelons. We pull up to the checkout with 2 carts full. We unload them. Our check came out to $162. In addition to this, we bought another 30 kilograms of glucose syrup. To make it easier to work with, we'll pour it into a large saucepan. I ordered something special for this video. These are semicircles made out of acrylic. They will serve as our huge Skittles mold. We fill the mold with oil and smear it around with a brush. Let's unroll the parchment paper. We make pretty deep cuts along the edges and carefully put it inside the mold. Thanks to the oil, the parchment sticks well to the mold. That way we cover up all the inside of the semicircle. Done! It turned out great. Now we put the saucepan on the scales. We put 150 grams of glucose syrup into it. And pour 350 grams of sugar into that. Now we pour in 100 milliliters of water. We put all this on the stove and cook the syrup. Be sure to use a thermometer. We need to wait until the temperature reaches 147 degrees Celsius. Done. Now let's squeeze a little purple food dye into a teaspoon and mix it into our candy coating. The acrylic molds don't really like changes in temperature, so to heat them up, we'll turn on really hot water and fill a bath. We lower the mold into the water, and only now do we pour in the candy coating. Yes, we'll be filling the mold for a long time, so we decided to make a double portion. So we'll be doing 2 equal saucepans at once. Put it on the stove. We cook up the mixture and add in the food coloring. Let's send the second mold into the bath. Pour the coating along the walls. Well, we cooked and molded the coating for 7 hours. At some point, it began to set crookedly. I had to gradually cover everything up. We returned the molds to the studio. We've already made the outer layer for the candy. Now all we need to do is make the insides. There are many different Skittles flavors. We decided to come up with our own, watermelon. To help out with this, we have a hefty mechanical press. We transfer the watermelons to the sink and wash them thoroughly. We put the clean watermelons in a huge bowl. We install a trough under the press and put a metal barrel on top. We take a watermelon, cut off the end, and then do the same to the other side. We prop it up vertically and remove the entirety of the green peel. Now all we have is the pulp. We throw it into the barrel. Cover the top of the metal disc. Take another watermelon and clean it the same way. We send this to the barrel too, and cover it as well. In advance, we substitute a 20-liter empty cylinder at the bottom and put a funnel into it. We begin to turn the screw. We make sure that it enters the groove of the metal disc. The juice is squeezed out very evenly. It goes into the trough and drains down into the container. We twist the press with all our might. 2 watermelons didn't give us enough juice, so we decided to peel 3 watermelons at once and cut each of them into pieces. We load them into the barrel and covering them with metal discs. Squeeze out the juice. We clean another watermelon. Squeeze the juice out of it too. Now we have almost a full container, but I want my Skittles to be sour. Let's squeeze the juice out of the lemons as well. First, we roll them with our hands on the table to loosen up the insides. Then we cut and squeeze the juice using our hands. All the juice will be sent through a sieve into the container. By the time we get to the studio, the juice has separated, and the red part was at the bottom. We decided to try it, and the taste hasn't really changed at all. I mean, real watermelon juice can be transparent. We shake the container well, and the color comes back. For the inside of the candy, we need 4 pots. We pour 150 milliliters of watermelon juice into each of them. Then 200 grams of glucose syrup, and 300 grams of sugar into each. We put all this onto the stove. Be sure to put a thermometer in one of the pots. The candy is boiling and you can't touch it at all. Just wait until it reaches 123 degrees. Open the butter. We cut it into small pieces. And one by one, send it into the pots, along with a teaspoon of white dye. Now we mix it up. The candy is ready. Just have to pour it into the molds. Oh, you have no idea how long we've been cooking all this. A day and a half. Finally, the molds are completely filled. Only a day later, the caramel completely cools down and becomes the desired soft consistency. Using a knife, we chip off the uneven edges of the candy. One half is covered with parchment. We put a board on top and turn it over. We remove the mold. Tear off the parchment. And turn over a candy half. The same should be done with the second one. Now, the most dangerous thing is to attach the 2 halves to each other. Then the worst thing imaginable happened. One half slipped and we heard a crunch, which really scared us. We were trying to connect the 2 halves. So we tear off the parchment and see the candy coating has split. We were really upset. Well, what can you do? We tried to at least save the filling. We transfer it into the mold. We'll have to redo the candy coating, but this time we'll do it differently. Again, we cover the mold with parchment. In the middle, we put a ring pasted with parchment. With the help of a hairdryer, we thoroughly warm up the mold. We cook the purple coating again, but something really scary happened here. At some point, the hot candy exploded with such a force that it knocked off the grate, splattered the ceiling, half of the studio, and got on my face. With serious burns and eye injuries, I was taken to the hospital by ambulance. If you want to see how my face looks now, then follow the link in the description to my Instagram. I should say right away, this isn't for the faint of heart. While I'm recovering, my dad will finish the Skittle. He pours that purple candy down the walls of the mold. He files the uneven edges. And turns it over to empty the mold. Then he tears off the parchment and takes out the ring in the middle. The edges of the lower half are now coated with the hot candy mixture. Now we connect the two halves very carefully and gently. Once again, we go around, connecting them at the crease. We take all the filling we managed to save. Using a knife, we cut off pieces from it. We fill our Skittle to the brim. And close it off from above. The joint is filled with the mixture. We just cut off the excess with a knife. Using a burner, we warm up our Skittle from the outside to melt small chips and sugary crumbs. On a piece of parchment, we draw the S logo. Now we melt white chocolate in a steam bath and fill it into a regular syringe. With its help, we first draw the outline of the letter, then fill in the inside. We wait for the chocolate to harden and transfer it to the candy. That's it! Our giant Skittle is finally ready. We spent a lot of money, time, and most of all, health on this experiment. If my dad hadn't helped me, we probably would have never finished this video. Our Skittle weighs in at 78 kilograms. Let's smash it. We'll try both parts at once, the candy coating and the filling.